our final exercise will be this. It's not the 5 best players. This isn't all NBA. I'm really interested in what you think would be the best starting 5 that would complement each other with today's active players.
Some of these guys are a little older than others, but that's a feature, not a bug. They've been around the block. They know how to win a playoff series. But I like, when I arrived at this list, it includes defense. I'm obsessed with defense now. And so I really discount stars that don't bring positivity to the defensive end. So my list is going to be people I really have a high view with on defense, with one exception. I'll start with that, which is Stephen Curry, who is the greatest shooter of all time. Not afraid to make a pass, not a bad defender, but just not the Michael Jordan, LeBron James sort of two-way incredible player that we've seen from some of the other greats. So Stephen Curry. Then I'm giving it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in part because he's a defensive star and in part because he's an offensive star. And I think he's a willing playmaker, so that's my backcourt. And then I have LeBron James as my 3. Again, can guard multiple positions on defense. A much improved shooter, Ryan. I don't think we've talked enough about how LeBron James became a 40% three-point shooter this year. So he's also given me some spacing with Steph and SGA.
I talked about it 2 days ago. I mean, when you look at where he was trending, I go, is he going to be like a 35% guy that takes half of his shots from there? Yeah. And it still would be okay. Like I would be like, hey, look, I get it. And instead, he cut down on the 3-point rate, yet shot it the second best of his career.
40%.
There's some offensive numbers from him this year where I went, how did it go back in this direction? Anyway, go ahead.
It's going to help him play into his 40s if he can shoot like that. 40 for 40, 40% for the 40-year-old LeBron. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Victor Wembanyama are my front court. Both of those guys can protect the basketball hoop, rebound, willing passers, and can guard multiple positions, to say it mildly. I really value that versatility on the defensive end. So that is my lineup. Again, Steph, SGA, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Victor Wembanyama.
Okay, well, Steph's a no-brainer because you can plug him into anything and he moves off the ball, sets screens off the ball. And that's what I was big on. I didn't want any ball stoppers, okay?
Right.
I didn't want any ball stoppers. I did go with Jokic knowing that I would have to help him defensively.
Okay.
Now, I think positionally, Jokic, like it got really absurd during the like Iran-Contra hearings of like the Embiid Jokic stuff. Where it was just like, hey, well, Jokic isn't this bad. He's positioned really well. The same thing that I would argue with Steph, as you already alluded to. I went with Ant because I think when he's into it defensively, and I'm not even talking about him as like this guy that's not interested in playing in defense, but defensively, I'm totally happy with where he's at. It may feel a little bit early. And I thought about Giannis as the protection to Jokic, but I just said, screw it. I'll go with Wembanyama now.
Dang.
And I was surprised by that. And then my last spot, I was a little worried about this. I know you went with LeBron. I am worried, though, when he misses a defensive rotation, how it's going to feel in the huddle when he yells at the other teammates. When it was he had one on Austin Reeves the other night where he got mad at Reeves for not running back to the dunker spot to cover Gordon while his hands were on Jokic and was signaling for him to get back to the baseline when LeBron was 5 feet closer to him. And I give Reeves credit that he like yelled back as he inbounded to him being like, what are you talking about? So I don't know if I want to bring that to my 5 just for the vibes part of it. Mm-hmm. So I will keep SGA on the list because he's a lot like, well, he's not a lot like Steph, but his approach to the game is similar in that he's totally fine off the ball, even though he doesn't provide the shooting that maybe would be the optimum version of him. Like he's not going to put up 8 threes in a game, but if I need him to break down the defense and then I have the spacing from the other pieces of this, I still think it's I don't feel like I have anybody that's going to clog anything up.
I feel like our front court is better if I replace Wemby with Jokic and we keep Giannis because Giannis is the best free safety in the NBA when he's healthy. He like Serge Ibaka when he was young, you put him next to Steven Adams or a less mobile big, and it's really nice deodorant to have out there. And I feel like if there's a weakness in my group, it's putting Wemby too far out there. I think Jokic is a solid pick and obviously pretty successful. But yeah, it's a fun exercise. And these are my favorite kinds of players that can contribute on both ends and make each other better, which is a cliche sort of definition of a superstar. Do you make your teammates better? But one of the coolest things about the NBA is the guys that can do that end up winning the championship. And these are dudes, I think, that all check that box. I think we had, 7 or 8 total names and 5 in common. Or yeah, obviously 5, but yeah, dude, I don't know.
The Giannis free safety thing is look, I thought about it and then I'm like, okay, but what are you going to do when Steph and Jokic are running around each other? And then is Giannis providing that spacing? It's like, but you know what? How about when the ball's loose and then he just destroys everybody with it? And then the defensive part of it might be a better fit but then it's like, well, you voted Wembanyama Defensive Player of the Year. So what am I really saying here?
Wait, can I ask you one random question? Do you think Sam Presti has enough draft picks to actually put this team together next year?
What I think is interesting is that Presti, like most guys, would just be like, all right, I'm going to just overpay for all this crazy stuff. And it's like, nope, I have my own process. I have a vision for what I want this to be. I mean, the fact that Ousmane Dieng was drafted, I was like, yep, makes all the sense in the world. That's exactly what Presti's putting together here. Nice little run in the G League if you weren't paying attention to Dieng's stats. I was this close to putting Lou Dort down. I'm like, just give me one dog that can space the floor a little bit. And if Brandon Ingram announces retirement this summer, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I never want to see Lou Dort again.
And Lou's another one has become like a 40% 3-point shooter. I want to say it's incredible. It's exactly what he needed to do. And Oklahoma City, really impressive shooting numbers this year for a group of guys that coming into the year I didn't expect that from. So something they're doing in player development to sort of bring it full circle with our conversation. OKC's getting it right across the board, but the shooting numbers from players like Lou Dort are proof that they're building better basketball players, not just drafting good basketball players too.
You can check out all of this stuff, and I'm telling you, it's incredibly entertaining. And if you still like pictures, we have those for you. Maybe it's the background in geography. It is our guy, Kirk Goldsberry, Hoop Atlas, wherever books are sold. Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother.